Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Claims Never Sleep. I'm your host, Meghan Henry, and joined by my co-host, Jen. Hey, Jen, what's going on?
Not much. We are early in the week of a potential huge snowstorm. So when everyone's listening to this,
it's historic, a storm of historic proportions.
Yeah, so by the time this episode comes out, we can see if we really did get 2 feet of snow or if we got 2 inches of snow. So
could go either way.
You never know.
But I don't know if I want to say it out loud, but I'm going to. I wouldn't mind like a monster snowstorm by me because we don't get them very often. And the timing looks enough that like there's not even a question there won't be school on Monday. So it's like you really can enjoy it. But then it needs to get to be like 60 degrees the next day and all melt. I don't know.
That's fantastic.
So, you know, one day of fun and then leaves then
spring.
Yes. But any event, today we have a very special guest today. We're joined by Rebecca Gregg. I have known Rebecca for like ever. She was a frequent guest on my prior podcast, and she's just dynamic. She's done so many amazing things with her career and her like how she's built her career, as she says, built her ladder herself. And I just love her. And if anyone listening, you might want to go to YouTube and just see her backdrop because her office is awesome. We've had a lot of guests lately with pretty awesome offices.
I'm feeling like I really need to spruce this room up after looking at our guests' backgrounds.
You do talk about how you're going to do it, so
I talk about a lot of things. Yep.
Well, in any event, let's bring Rebecca in.
This is the Claims Never Sleep podcast, presented by Cruiser Mitchell, with your host, Meghan Henry.
Good morning, Rebecca. Welcome to Claims Never Sleep. How are you? I'm so happy to have you.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you again. Good to see you, Jen.
It's awesome to see you. And for our listeners who aren't familiar, you and I are very familiar with each other. You were on my prior podcast at least twice, if not more. Mm-hmm. I think you were a very frequent guest of mine, one of my favorites, I should say.
Thank you.
And I'm thrilled to have you back on. And a lot has happened since we last talked. So, yeah. And people who listen now might not be familiar with your journey. So, you know, why don't you give us an idea, like how did I know how you got into claims, and I know your path, but not everyone listening does. So, you know, what was your path into the claims world?
Into the claims world. Well, I think that a lot of people who get into insurance, maybe even most people, didn't really plan that was going to be their path growing up. I wanted to be a paleontologist, and actually I was working in paleontology when this kind of started. I worked in a dinosaur exhibit at a museum, and I did educational programming. I was the girl on the microphone talking about the T-Rex and taking teachers to dinosaur digs in South Dakota. And it was a fun job. I made $7.25 an hour. And so when my best friend, I'm 43, we've been best friends since we were 5, and she got a job at the Hartford, and she said, come over to the Hartford, you can make $12 an hour. Of course, this is 20 years ago, you know, and I was like, well, hot dang, you know, of course. And I didn't expect that it was going to turn into a career. I just thought I would like to be able to eat more often. and it's claims, and I've been in claims the whole time, not really any other part of insurance, but it's not for everyone, but it's for me. I love investigating things. I love having a big, messy problem to sort out. I like talking to people. I like, I'm kind of a policy nerd, as it turns out. So I really like, you know, policy and coverage interpretation and all that. And it's every day's different. And you're never bored. You might be stressed or overwhelmed or, you know, who knows what else, but I'm never bored. And it's just been a surprisingly really good fit for me. I've really enjoyed my career working in claims.
Well, I think you had Jen at Dinosaur because I think she has someone in her house that might be a fan of yours. If he found out that you were an aspiring paleontologist, I think Harry would be very interested to ask you a few questions.
You know what?
Dinosaurs, yes.
I love talking with kids about dinosaurs. You'll meet someone, they're like 3. What's your favorite dinosaur? Parasaurolophus. They could just pronounce, they know all of them. They can say them perfectly. It's amazing. They still say babeba or something for banana or whatever, but Pachycephalosaurus.
We took him to the Natural History Museum in New York not too long ago, so he was really into that.
That's such a good exhibit too. So that's awesome. Yeah, I'm available to talk about dinosaurs with really anyone, 4-year-olds, 40-year-olds, whatever. It's still a weird little passion of mine.
So okay, but take us through a little bit. So you start at the Hartford making a whopping, $12 an hour, and then you find that, well, okay, I have a passion for this, but you don't stay there. Like you've moved and you've managed to not manage, but you've successfully made very strategic and smart moves for yourself, that you are creating opportunities for yourself and climbing up. And I love when I see stories like that. And not that it's any surprise that that's the path that you've made for yourself. But where did you go from the Hartford? You were there for a little while, and then what was your next step?
Yeah, I was there for about 5 years. I mean, I started at the very beginning. I was the person taking first notice of loss calls over the phone, and I don't know how good I was at it at first, but I guess I did well enough because I was there in that department for, just a few months, and then I went to total loss. I did catastrophe. I did, you know, I think I was there for almost 5 years, and then after that, I went on to State Farm, and I made a number of moves. I was at State Farm for about the same amount of time as well, and I did complex property and coverage. I was in a really unique department at the time. It was the only one that State Farm had where we did like just really interesting coverage questions and policy interpretation, and everything needed a reservation of rights. And yeah, that's when I really started to enjoy coverage and policies. But I mean, over the years, I've continued in claims, and I've just pursued the things that I'm passionate about, and I always want to learn more. I'm a big learner, I just want to know everything about everything, and I want to be. If I'm doing a job, I want to be the best at it, and I want to be the best claims adjuster, and I would excel. And then I look for another challenge, whether it's within my current role, something that can stretch me and give me more skills, being a mentor to other people in the department. But I guess I'm just kind of greedy for knowledge, and I really enjoy, just as I've specialized through things. I started working in commercial trucking, and I found that I really love trucking. I'm really still involved in the trucking industry and and a number of professional organizations, and it's been my passion since for about 10 years or so, as I've kind of specialized in that. But over the years, I've done just pretty much anything you can do in property and casualty claims, just because I want to know how it all works and know how to do it. And so I guess the past quarter or so of my career, I've kind of taken a turn from claim adjusting, transitioning into leadership, and then transitioning into something a little different for me. I've had a lot of great opportunities, and some of them have come to me. Some of them have been things that I've pursued, but I'm at a TPA right now, and it's a newer TPA. I mean, it's been around for a couple of years, and it's got a great model. It's a full service TPA. It's family owned. I've always believed in when we work in organizations like this. I want to be the best. If we're a TPA, I want specialized experts. I want the people who know the most that they do about their field. I want to bring in all the top claims people to provide this it's like a very boutique kind of white glove thing. I believe in these personal relationships that we build with our clients. And I've been really, really fortunate in my career to work with, a couple of different organizations and TPAs that have shown me a lot of trust to kind of build and scale a program that's in line with what my values are and my claim philosophies are, and to create these kind of just unique white glove boutique experiences that we have with our clients. Because where we're on the same side, and you get an adjuster, and that's your designated adjuster. This is your person, and you get to know them. We get to know their business. And I haven't seen that at a lot of other insurance companies. And so I don't know, it's not necessarily modeled off anything other than just kind of what I feel is right and what I feel like people respond to. But that's kind of been the turn that my career has taken, moving into more of a strategic role, an operations role, a building type role. And I absolutely love it. So it's been a really fun, fast moving few years since I was last on your podcast.
Yeah, you've done a few things since then. And but I want to take a little bit of step back though, because before your current role, you were also in a similar role that you were building up a department. And I remember us chatting about it, and you were like, I'm so busy, I'm so overwhelmed, but it's amazing. Which encapsulates you perfectly, because you were like, you knew you had a lot going on, but you embraced it, and you're like, I'm so excited for this.
It was absolutely fantastic. I'm not there anymore. They went in a different direction with leadership and just overall company restructuring. And so it's, we've talked about that. I got laid off this past summer in July, but there are no hard feelings. It's a great company. They showed me a lot of trust, and it was such a one of a kind experience that when we first started talking about it, they were looking for a transportation adjuster, which that's my bread and butter. Transportation litigation, large loss. Give me the worst of the worst. Give me some claims. But they started talking about this program they wanted to build. They did occupational accident claims, and they wanted to get into property and casualty. And I just got so excited about what they were trying to build. And I had leadership experience, but I had never. And I'd scaled a TPA. I came in early and helped build it and hire and create, some KPIs and best practices and stuff like that. But I'd never done it on my own. And what they wanted to build was completely from the ground up. Like just so many things that didn't exist. I'd never done anything like it before. I knew what we needed. I know from working in claims for so long that this is what a good organization looks like. And I've been fortunate to work at another TPA where I saw this is what happens when it works really well. And so I had all that, just kind of unique experience working in those different environments to where I had this vision about what it would be like. I'm going to be honest, I didn't think they were going to hire me because I hadn't done it before, but I got so excited. We talked for hours, probably just going on about. And I think I was even trying to give them advice for when they did find someone they would hire. I'm like, you have to get somebody who understands how important building these relationships are, and not make it this adversarial thing, but we're working towards the same goals. And what you can do, what other people aren't doing, is that, you learn about them, you get invested in it, and you don't make them fit into your box of what it want to be. We meet them where they are, wherever they are, and try to make them better. And we build these custom programs that are designed around their needs and just their unique way of doing business, their philosophies, their values. And we just build something for each client that comes through that's so them, and it's what they need and not what we need them to be. And they were like, when can you start? So I'm going to say it was terrifying, a little bit at the beginning, because I knew I could do it. And this is where a lot of people never take that step because, a lot of people don't pursue opportunities that they don't meet 100% of the qualifications for. But I believe that if you meet most of them and you can look at a role and I know what needs to be done, I can do that. You don't have to enter every role at the very, very top. You can grow into a role. And so I wasn't starting at the very beginning. I actually did have a lot of knowledge and experience, and I'm an agent of chaos, and I love I love that. It would not be ideal for a lot of people, but it was exactly what I loved. Every day was different. Every day there was something new that needed to be done that hadn't been done before, that sometimes I didn't know what it was, but I would figure it out and I would do it, and it worked out really well. The first 6 months, I had some imposter syndrome. Sometimes there was one of our big insurance partners who was, Rebecca, when can we see a bordereau report from you? I'm like, oh, I guess I'm doing a bordereau report. I'm like, well, let me put one together and I will get it to you. And why don't you give me some feedback and we'll see which, what we want to keep in, what we want to take out and, refine it. And then we get off the phone and I'm Googling, what the heck is a bordereau report?
Right.
I didn't know. Now
Right.
I know. I've made a billion of them. I've created templates for them. I've designed them, but I didn't at the time. But I learned because I just dive in and I learn it all and then want to be an expert about it all. And I made one and I sent the email. I thought I did everything it needed to be done, but I was nervous. But I sent it off to them. I'm like pulling my hair out, chewing my nails, and I get a thanks. I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this. So after, the first few months, I had a few things like that where I'm like, I think my instincts are pretty good for this. And a lot of this, some of it's common sense and some of it is just having the foresight to see what you're going to need down the road and making sure that you've got a plan for those things. But after it was very much building the rocket ship after it took off. I had a client my very first day. I didn't even have a claim system yet, but man, we did it. We did it. We won some big accounts. We had great clients. We handled a ton of claims. We hired a lot of people and had a lot of growth. And man, it was just an amazing experience. And I'm kind of carrying that on now with a company that's a little bit more established. Obviously, they've been around. They've got some more experience doing some of these things. I don't have to reinvent the wheel with it, but I get to, bring kind of my philosophies and build this around. Okay, this is how we be the best of the best, and this is how we really meet our clients and really provide the service that they need us to do and really listen to them about what their frustrations are. And it's such a, you figure it out as you go, some things, because sometimes you have to figure things out when you're a listener and when you're listening to what people want and what they need, then you're going to have to pivot and you're going to have to make new plans and you're going to have to respond to that. And so, it's a very collaborative learning experience, even as we're creating stuff. So it's not a lot of people get a chance to build a claims organization once, let alone, build or scale 2 or 3 of them. And so I'm very, very fortunate to have been able to do that. And, that people trusted me to do it and took a chance on me, the first time around that I did this. But yeah, it's just been such a good, unique fit, and I really love it.
So what's funny is I'm surprised that you said, because I wrote down on my notes here, no imposter syndrome. And then when you said I had some imposter syndrome, I'm like, I don't hear that. That is not what I took away from that. I was like, wow, because it feels to me is like you knew you were comfortable in your role. I think because you like digging in so much and you like learning that. I don't think the way I evaluate it is like you didn't have imposter syndrome because you're like, if I don't know, I don't know. I'm going to figure it out. And me, I'm like, and you belong. Every sense of you belong there. But I just struck me when you said you had imposter syndrome. I'm like, I'm not hearing that.
I think everybody does. I think everybody does. I think that's a stage of adulthood that we all do until we get to the age. I recently, entered my 40s, and something happens when you get to be in your 40s. I swear, I found that confidence, and I realized at some point that, in a lot of ways, we're all just kind of making things up as we go. But I've had enough life experiences now that I can kind of trust my past and future self to do some of these things. And yes, there's some imposter syndrome, but I'll also tell you about how I approach things that I don't know. I never pretend like I know something that I don't know how to do. I'll figure it out, but being genuine and being honest and open about those things is, one of my strengths, really, I think, to build trust with people. And I just can't be like that. But, fortunately, I know that I do have a lot of technical skills, and I think that I have a good mind for sorting out the things that are important and seeing what the next steps would be. And so I kind of had to get some age and some wisdom to trust myself instead of, letting those kind of nagging doubts and things creep in. So I and I think that makes me a good manager too when I have direct reports.
Yeah.
And, I think there's been generational shifts with that, but that could be a whole other show, really, Megan. So, but but like it's shaped my leadership style because if I have people who come to me, I think a lot of generations and people in the past would say something to be authoritative and like this is the way it's going to be and you're going to do it, and it doesn't always you know hit the mark with everything. But me, you come to me with a problem. Well, first, I hope you have a suggestion about what you want to do with it, because I don't want to, start at the very beginning figuring this stuff out. I want my people who work for me to do some of that
Right.
thinking and problem solving. But sometimes we just have to figure it out, and they'll come to me. And sometimes I know, and sometimes I don't know. But if I don't know, I'm going to say, I'm not sure. I might have a theory, but I'm gonna find out, and then I find out and I follow up on it. And then I think that's important to do with even your clients. I've been asked things by clients and I really want to impress them. Maybe this is a prospective client. I want to win their business. I like their business. I think we could do a really great thing with it. I want to impress them. But if they ask me something I don't know, I'm not going to make something up. I'm going to find out, and then I'm going to follow up with them and let them know what I found out. And I think that helps with credibility too,
Oh,
because when I do say that I know what I'm talking about, I hope they know that I really do, because I would let you
yeah.
know if I didn't. And so that's just kind of my whole approach, is just I don't need to pretend to be somebody else, and I may be a little extra sometimes and maybe a little quirky or something like that, but you know what you're gonna get with me. And so when I'm talking with you about claims and litigation strategy and organizational structure and stuff like that, then I'm bringing my whole self to the conversation
Yeah.
and the sum of all my experiences too. So
And I think too, though, when you're disingenuous and you're like, oh yeah, I know that. Oh, I've done that. People can see right through it.
yes.
Like it's much better being like, I've heard about that, but I don't know that much about it yet.
Like, yeah, absolutely. And I don't know how that does you any favors, because people can tell, people can sense it. Now, sometimes, and not everybody's going to respond to everything the same way. Some people might hear me say I don't know the answer to something and just be like, well, what good is she? Like, she doesn't know this thing. I'm not going to go with somebody who doesn't know everything about this thing. Okay, I'm being honest with you though. And I will find out if there's something that
Yeah.
I need to know. But I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. I
Right.
want to win their trust, because I want to be a trustworthy person. And so
Yeah.
being a trustworthy person, you have to be, genuine about your responses and thoughtful about the answers that you give, and realistic about the kind of expectations that you're setting. And I mean, not only is that just that's just kind of how I do things, because I'm a terrible liar um, and I don't like to pretend to be something I'm not. I can't be anyone but myself. None of us can. So,
No.
but I don't know. It just doesn't sit right. And honestly, I hate to throw out ethical, but it's not right. It doesn't feel like it's ethical to
Yeah.
lead someone astray with an answer that you can't really back, and just because in that moment you want to feel good, you want to make them feel good about whatever you're telling them. But my clients have a lot of financial skin in the game. They've got
Yeah.
litigation exposures. They've got you know these claims. I have a lot of self-insured clients, captive insurance groups, people who they're fully self-insured, or they own the first 500,000 or
Right.
million. Like, it's not right for me to pretend like I know what I'm talking about if I don't,
Right.
because that has consequences for them. And so, yeah, I guess that's my hope, that they see it, and that when I do tell them something, that they see that I give good counsel, because they know what it looks like when I'm not sure and I have to find out. And so then they learn that, this is something I have I have been doing this for 20 years working in claims, so I do know one or two things about
I
it.
think you
So,
know a thing or two.
but that's the way it should be. That's those kind of interactions that we have, and the trust and the relationships we build with it. That's a big part of the passion that I have for, this type of work in the industry. So, I can feel good about that part too. And I may not be what everybody always wants me to be, but nobody is.
Yeah, like I was like, are any of us? Like,
No.
I mean, like I'm certainly not everyone's cup of tea. Jen's not everyone's cup of tea, and we shouldn't be, and that's okay.
Yes. Another nice thing about being in my 40s now is that I can accept that, and it does. I just keep telling everybody, I'm like, this is really nice. Like, I just feel like I've finally, kind of grown into myself and feel, comfortable with who I am and my flaws and everything else. And because at the end of the day, I'm doing my best.
Yeah. And if they don't like it, F them. Like,
well, I was going to say it, but
From an age perspective, I handle some like age discrimination claims, and it always blows my mind that 40 is the threshold for like once you're over 40, then you can bring an age discrimination claim. Because I feel like once I turned 40, I finally felt like I was kind of where I wanted to be. Like that was the moment, like I've kind of been working up to this point for the past 20 years. And to think that like, I don't know, I feel like we're in our prime, right? Like we're in such a good part of our career. Like there's just, the options are all open and like put in the hard work and the foundation is there. And I feel like this is like you said, and you also stop caring about what other people think.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's a pretty great time. I mean, minus the fact that some of us are raising teenagers. That's a little bit different. Other than that, it's fantastic.
How old are your kids?
9, 11, and 13.
Okay.
Yeah. 13 and 11.
Okay. Mine are 13 and 10, almost 11. So we are right in there. So, but yeah, you get some experience doing that. And I know this wasn't really the direction we talked about, but I think there's something to be said about building your career and being a woman and a mom to, teenagers, and being a woman in your 40s, and how very different your confidence looks, and the way you carry yourself, and the opportunities you pursue, and the way you stand up for yourself is than when you're in your 20s and you're starting out your career. And so this is just a great time for all of us to be mentors to, other people who are coming up in their careers. And especially when we're all kind of at this intersection of very male dominated things, law and trucking and insurance and all of these things. And to, and all of us, like, you do such a great job at having a voice that's heard in this industry, and having people, who listen to you because you stand on the experience that you have and the knowledge that you have. And so I don't know, I'm just kind of proud of all of us for being able to find that voice and that confidence, because you have to make people make space for you too.
Well, I think it's especially important, whether you have girls or boys or don't have kids at all, is just I really started to watch the way that I talked to myself and about myself in front of my kids, because I didn't want them to then kind of take that on themselves. So like, I don't say anything negative about myself, about my body, about anything in front of my kids, because I don't know, like it's just so often, do you notice how your kids maybe have the same traits as you, or do have the same like little idiosyncrasy?
Oh God.
Right. So
my daughter is my mini me and my son is my husband's mini me. But yes. Yeah, I was just talking with somebody about that the other day, because I believe very much in communicating with our kids and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable with them. And sometimes I make mistakes and I'm short-tempered, and then I go back and we talk about it, and I apologize, and I made this mistake. I shouldn't have done that. Or if I might be feeling sad about something, someone close to me died, within the past couple of months, and I was sad, and I wasn't necessarily going to hide it. I want them to know, like, it's okay to have emotions, and to express emotions. But my big thing has always been, it is not a child's job to manage the
Yes.
emotions of an adult, of their parents or anything like that. It's, to me, it feels like there's emotional manipulation. And so, yeah, it's a hard thing to do as a parent, to make sure that, they see you working these things out. You have a fight with somebody, they see how you talk to each other and how you resolve conflict, and you model that for them and with them. And so, yeah, because if there's a tendency to sweep a lot of those things under the rug, and either just present yourself as the all-knowing authority, and it's not really, they don't really get to see how you get that wisdom or why you make decisions they do. It's like, I don't know, there's this air of mystery about it. Or they get to see you working things through, and your thought process as you understand things, and as you navigate complex relationships and emotions and knee-jerk reactions and all sorts of other things, because that's part of just being a person. We're all going to have those experiences, so they need to know how to,
Yeah.
how to really deal with that.
I think it's a big, like, at least I think when we grew up, or at least when I grew up, it was never talked about at home, though. Like, I mean, never.
Oh yeah.
So it was just a different time, and I think now all the kids of that generation are so much more self-aware. I mean, sometimes I think to the point that my kids are annoyed that I feel like I need to talk through everything.
Like
Yeah.
everything is a Danny Tanner moment. Like you sit on the bed.
I know. Oh my God, what would we have done without TGIF?
Yes, that's kind of what taught us like emotional regulation.
Yes, like nothing about parents. It was a different kind of generation. So that's why we needed our TV dads, our Carl Winslows and our Danny Tanners and everything like that. But yeah, I'm trying to think of the first time an adult ever apologized to me as a kid.
I'm still waiting.
That's a huge one for me too. Like I do, because we're human, right? We lose our temper. And so I do apologize to my kids. And one of my favorite phrases, and it's just like thinking back, I cannot imagine anyone ever saying this to me in the 80s or 90s, but I'll say, like, your feelings are valid, but your reaction was not. So, like, let's talk about what we could do next time. And I'm like, can you imagine somebody talking to us about like our feelings and how to regulate them? And
go to your room and stop your feelings.
We just had a family situation like that. And no, it's interesting how our early family dynamics and, our parents and the people who are sort of like, running these industries that we're now, kind of running and taking over as the next generation or two, how the shift from how leadership and their direct reports interact, and how that parallels how parents today, interact with their kids. And I just think it's such a positive change, because we're all just people, and we're not hiding behind, pomp and circumstance. We're not appealing to our authority as this end all be all thing. We're all earning our spots, and that makes us better at what we do. It makes us understand. It makes us give people more grace with what they do. And I'm really excited for the next generation. Everybody's so mean to the next generation, but I had a couple of Gen Z kids. I say kids, they're in their early 20s. One of them married and has babies and everything. But if you're 28 or under, I'm trying to get there. But they're like first of all, some of the hardest workers I had on my team. They were amazing. They got so much done. They were proactive. They saw stuff that needed to be done. They pitched it to me. They did it. They are, and I just, it's nice to see how this parenting and this leadership and the sort of openness that we have, and the vulnerability that we're willing to show as parents and leaders and in our careers and homes, and how that is, I just see a lot of positive change with it, because especially when you're young and you're all going to make mistakes. I walked into a live tiger pen when I was 15. Did I tell you that story once? No matter how smart you are, you're going to do some stupid things. Do you want to feed the tigers? Sure. Let's walk into the cage. Anyway,
We know what happened. You can't just like leave us with that nugget and like not expand on Rebecca and the tiger pin. Like, come on.
Kids, okay, no matter how smart you are as a teenager, I love you, I love teenagers. I have lots of teenagers in my life. You're going to do dumb things. Your frontal lobe hasn't developed. You still have a lot of life experience to get. And it's easy when you're young and somebody else in a position of authority says, sure, yeah, this is okay, do this. So I won't tell you the long version, but I had there was a new kid at our school, and he was very different. I went to a tiny school. There were 70 of us, my high school,
Yeah.
And,
so you had like fresh meat in there that someone.
well, that's what they thought. That's what they thought. He walked in there, and this is what, 96 or something, in 97. Full goth. And we have a one stoplight in this town with a gas station. That is it. You have to drive 40 minutes to get milk and stuff. But I mean, just the piercings and everything. And he said he was just very dark. And of course, you would think he would be a target, but he said so many disturbing things to people that they were just like, leaving this kid alone. I'm getting to the tigers, I promise. I just love this part of the story. And so I don't know if you noticed, I have some major like golden retriever energy, and I'm like a very happy person. And like 15-year-old me was like, this is my new best friend. I am going to befriend this guy. I'm making it my life's mission to teach him. I want to see him smile. And he was so stoic. He suffered me to be around him all the time. And I would just jabber at him and ask him about his things and compliment him about his new safety pin piercing through his eyebrow or whatever was going on with him. But anyway, this is Jason. And so one day he invites me to his family's home, and it turns out they have all these exotic pets. Rural Indiana, just in rural Indiana. He's like, these are my pigeons that I sacrificed to demons, and he's like cooing at them, and I'm like, sure, buddy. These are my ring-tailed lemurs. He had a bunch of peacocks, other kinds of monkeys, like an emu, and then 2 tigers. It was like in a kid's cartoon book. You see those big concrete pens with the bars on the front. 2 tigers. And he's like, do you want to feed the tigers? I'm like, they're kitty shaped. I want to pet them. I'm like, of course I want to feed the tigers. He asked if I wanted to do it. So surely it must be okay, right? So he gives me 2 steaks, like big old steaks. And I'm walking into the tiger pen. He opens the door. I walk into the tiger pen. The tigers rush me and they each grab a steak. And I'm like, okay, but then one of them gets my sweater. He gets my sweater. And have you ever seen a tiger up close, like a tiger's head right by you? Do you know how big a tiger's head
they're giant, is? Yes.
And their teeth, and it's here, and it's progressively like pulling in more and more of my sweater. And I'm like, I'm going to get eaten by this tiger. So how did I end up in this situation? Because teenagers are dumb. So I had to do one of these like swoop things out of my sweater and rushed out. Like he opened the door and slammed it behind me, and then I'm standing in there in my jeans and a bra. He had to take his shirt off and give it to me, and I only had a tiny little scratch. It didn't leave a scar, and I don't know. It was so dumb, but.
And did you tell your parents?
I did see him smile that day. So there was that.
I almost killed that girl.
I have been carrying this for about 30 years. I've never told my mom, please don't tell her.
Yeah, well, don't tell her to tune in.
You would be amazed at her ability to worry like after the fact about these
like
things.
What if there's like an underlying infection that's just been waiting to.
I know. No, but no. So kids are.
Wait, hang on. So after this happened, like, what was your follow-up with the new goth kid? Like, did you still were you like, I'm done hanging out with tiger kids?
Oh no,
like,
I got to see the tigers. I mean, it was a harrowing experience, but
it's like real life Tiger King. And
right, yeah. Like they should do another episode and feature. No, I think he actually he became a mortician. He moved to Florida and became a mortician.
Tracks. That is the exact career I would have pegged for him. Yeah.
So, but no, I remained his, cheerful little like confidant. And, but yeah, no, those were weird times. And I'm not even entirely sure how we got there other than that.
Well, I'm glad we did.
Some kids,
I always talk that we get off topic, and this is probably the
we always
most
do.
I
I
forgot.
know that's all my fault, but
No, I love it.
I think there was some thing I was going to bring all together about,
Kids being
kids.
stupid.
I have a lot of hope for kids today, but
They're still gonna do
there's
stupid
some
shit.
learning and there's some growth to do, because just inherent with being 15 or something, you're just,
I know.
it's going to take a little bit for the problem solving and the prefrontal cortex and all that stuff to catch up.
I
And
know.
that is why there's Life 360.
Yeah, but that still doesn't tell you that there's tigers in the backyard.
Right.
Fair.
You just know where they are. So I wanted to pivot though a little bit though, because we or really
We
just
must
get back
pivot.
on track. So you'd mentioned though you were at your prior TPA, and then they had gone in a different direction, but there is a good story in there too, because you and I were talking about it, how you got laid off and you quickly saw the power of networking in LinkedIn and how it worked for you, and then it also created a passion for you, a side passion in addition to your current passion. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like, so I want you to tell the story of what happened. You post on LinkedIn that you're looking for new opportunities. Sure. It was like you were off to the races.
Yeah, it was amazing. And so this happened because of steps that I took, years in the past, and I didn't even know what I was doing necessarily. I was just getting into some more complex trucking litigation, wrongful deaths, and large loss, and I wanted to know everything about it. I'm like, if I'm going to be this kind of adjuster, I want to be the best trucking adjuster that there is. And so I started, I guess what I was doing is building my professional brand, even if I didn't know it. I thought about, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I'm good at. This is what I want to be known for. And those are really the first 3 steps in finding out like what your brand is going to be. And so I'm started being very deliberate in my networking, to connect with people who did this sort of thing, so I could learn more and make connections, within that part of the industry, and learning. I was learning more about it and posting articles on LinkedIn. So, I started to really grow my network, and I continue to do that, to be relevant, to learn. There's so many. So I could name 15 of them right off the top of my head. So many great people in this industry who are really substantially contributing to helping us make it better, to understand it better, to learn from each other. We're sharing more things than we ever shared before, instead of everybody keeping their cards close to their vest. But yeah, I was fortunate to build this really, really great network and support system. And so when I got laid off, and I knew it was coming. I could kind of read the writing on the walls, and I don't do secrets and deception and playing games and stuff. And I know they weren't either. It's just, it was a sensitive situation, but I ended up going to the owners and everybody, and because I could just tell that, like, they wanted to go a different direction with somebody. I'm a little expensive for then, and the bones had been built, and now I think that, for whatever reason, we, again, good terms, but I could see that I was probably going to be leaving soon. So I went to them all and I said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that I understand I'm probably not going to be here long term. Um, I get it, and I understand that. I want you to know that I really care about this place. I'm really proud of what we've been able to build. I really care about the people that we have here, the adjusters and the staff and the assistants and everybody who works here. I care about our clients and these, programs that we've built for them and the relationships we built. I really want this to succeed. And so, use me while I'm here. Like, we don't have to step around it. It's okay. We can announce that I'm resigning or something like that if that's the direction it's going. But while I'm here, I want to make the transition as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
And I still have a lot of, knowledge to pass on. There's still, some things that I'd like to put together for you and train people and make sure we're set up for success, when you guys move into this next, era of of doing things. And at first, I mean, it's an awkward conversation to have, but
Sure.
I'm like, this
Yeah.
is where it's going. And it was true, I want it to be successful. Um, and so I ended up, they were like, oh, that's really cool of you, actually. Thank you. Um, and once we kind of just got it all out there, I was like, okay, how can I help the best? Where can I be most effective? And I spent another 3.5 months or so working there, knowing that, it was,
Yeah.
I didn't know exactly when, but I knew that um, my work was making sure that we're set up for success. Um, and, and that's a interesting kind of different experience that a lot of people don't get to have too. But anyway, the time did come, I put,
Mhm.
like I said, a few months just getting stuff ready, and it was a good time for the transition. And so I hadn't really made a plan for afterwards. I knew we're doing good. My husband's, he's working, he works at Liberty Mutual in the litigation department. He's doing construction defect litigation, um, and we've got savings, and I'm like, I will find something. I know I'll find something, but you don't get a lot of chances to take some time off either as an
Yeah.
adult. So I'm like, I think I'm just gonna take a little break, and I'm gonna think about what I'm passionate about and what I really want to do next, and just enjoy, I'm going to read a book. Maybe I'll go to a cabin with my girlfriends. I don't know. I'm just
Mhm.
going to make the most of it. So about a week and a half later, I'm like, I'm bored out of my skull. I need to start looking for a job because I can't not work. Um, so what I did was um, on I posted on LinkedIn. I just changed my open to work status. I put the banner on. Said, hey everybody, I'm looking for a new opportunity. My time here has come to an end. These are the kind of roles I'm looking for. And I mean, that was it. It was about 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. And so here's what happened. By maybe 10 o'clock that same day, my post had been shared 21 times. Um, by Monday of the next week, I had had over 100 people reach out to me.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
they were saying, hey, I don't know if we have a place, but I'd like to set up a meeting between you and the owners, or you and our VP, or I'd like to just have a conversation with you, see how you might fit into our organization. Hey, let me introduce you to this person. I think that you guys are really similar and have the same viewpoints. Like, this person really helped me in my career. They've been a mentor to me, and I think that they have a lot of wisdom. Like, let me just. Everybody wanted to help. It was
Mhm.
insane.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yes, okay, great. Because
Yeah.
my whole philosophy in my career has been, you know, don't just climb the ladder, you build the ladder. And I've had a lot of jobs where maybe the job I ended up getting didn't exist before. And maybe they didn't even know there was a need for it before. But when we start talking about, you know, the program and the best way to accomplish the goals and everything, we find out that, wow, we could really benefit from having a person who does this thing. Or and like my first TPA, I'm like, well, you don't need this, you actually need this, you need somebody to build it for you, and I'd love to do that. I would love to be that person to do it. And they're like, okay. So we changed directions. We just kind of created something that hadn't been there before. And so I was excited to kind of pursue some of those things with this. And that's a lot of it is what they look like: exploratory interviews, connecting
Yeah.
with new people, reconnecting with people. I ended up having so this was 13 days total from when I
Wow.
changed my open to work status to when I accepted a job. I had, I'm forgetting the number of interviews that I had, but I think it was around 20 something, either phone calls or straight up interviews or second interviews. But a lot of it was just exploration. And I ended up connecting with somebody here at Entrusted, at my current company, who they weren't planning on hiring somebody in my role just yet, but I was available and like, well, let's talk. We talked for at least an hour and a half. We couldn't
Yeah.
believe how much we had in common when it came to our experience, our claim philosophy, our personal values, just what our vision for what something like this could be. We just clicked. And so he's
Yeah.
like, I want to introduce you to the owners. Um, and yeah, it was just such a good fit, and I met them, and they offered me the job, but in all those 20 some interviews and calls and everything I had, I never applied for a job. I didn't apply. I didn't
But that's
fill
what's
out
amazing. Yeah.
any application because it's networking. And I've
Yeah.
hesitated to share this on LinkedIn because I've been
Mm-hmm.
talking with people. People have reached out to me, or I see people who have been struggling and have been looking for a long time to find a job. And and I don't want to say it was easy, but I was very, very lucky. And I had a lot of people in my corner and a lot of support. And that was a support system I built, and that was connections that I try to make and maintain and things like that. But I know how lucky I am to have found myself in that situation and get a good job with new challenges. And, I'm going to do what I did before well, and I get to do, and I'm learning new things, which, I always want to do. I'm learning new lines of coverage. We're getting into tribal and sports and entertainment and all these just really interesting things that I'm like, well, tribal's really complex, and I've
Yeah.
had some experience with it, but now I want to learn everything about it. These are all sovereign nations. They have their own laws. They have
Right.
their own culture. There's even just the way that information is presented and digested, and the navigating the complex relationships and everything there, and being respectful of the culture and
Mhm.
appreciating what they have, and trying to see how we can you know help make that better to meet those needs and that they have there. It's just been great. I've just really enjoyed that experience and feeling like, wow, we can really do something cool together with these things. And I get to, you know, turn my Wikipedia brain on and just like learn a whole bunch of new stuff too. So that's been fun.
Well, but the thing is, what I think is important though is whether you were consciously doing it at the time, you built your network with intention and you were genuine about it.
Mhm.
And I think that's part of the reason why you got the reaction you did, because you developed real connections, and and then people gravitated to you when you put that out there, like, hey, I'm open to work, and people are like, I've seen Rebecca, I like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be open to having her work with me, like but I don't think it was what you did along the line, even though you probably weren't doing it with the idea, oh, if I lose or if I'm in a situation I might need a job. I don't think you were doing it for
Yeah.
that reason. You were just building up yourself, and people noticed, even though you
Yeah.
might have known they were noticing at the time. They were watching.
Yeah. I was bidding myself, and I've made a lot of friends
Yeah,
in this
that's how we
industry.
met.
I know. I know. And I've met a lot of just really smart, knowledgeable people about it who, gosh, some of them even, technically kind of competitors for me. But like at the end of the day, like this is a brilliant person who does great things for their organization and, is and can be a mentor to me because we're still, industry people supporting industry people, and we're women supporting women. Um, and I can't remove myself and my emotions and my relationships and my friendships and everything that I build along the way too. But
Mhm.
and one other thing, I think you wanted me to talk about this, an interesting thing that happened after I accepted this job. I got it, and I posted that I'm here, and it was really fast, and all of a sudden people started kind of reaching out to me about it, and they said, hey, I've been looking for a job for 8 months or a year, and I'm having a lot of trouble. I'm not getting callbacks. I'm not, getting interviews. I've sent 100 applications out,
Right.
and I've heard from, obviously you figured something out, you know, what did you do? And so I just kind of, and I didn't start a business really. I'm not making money off this, but
Right.
I do enjoy being a mentor and coaching people and kind of helping them find their passion about stuff because we get one life and you don't want to just do it going to a job. You want to find out what you what you love and what you're passionate about and what your skills are and how you can put all those together to be your best self, to be your happiest self, to be your most productive self. And
Yeah.
if you're going to work, at least 40 hours a week or something like that, then why not do it should be fulfilling. So yeah, they'd reach out to me and I started doing some career kind of coaching and consulting, but it's not like, oh, let's do a mock interview or let me revamp your resume or make these little changes, these just one-off situational things. I don't know if they were prepared for it, but it was like, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about your your career so far, what your journey's looked like. What have you loved about this? What have you not liked about it? What are you passionate about? Like when you bring the best parts of yourself to your job, what does that look like? What are those parts? And, you know, finding out, okay, these are the things I'm good at. These are the things that I care about. This is what I want to be known for in my career. And once you have those three things, then you can start to build a brand. Every time I hate myself a little bit when I say this, building your professional brand, because it sounds gimmicky and hokey. But it's what you're doing. You're building a reputation. What people, when you tell people about yourself, usually they believe you. So what part of yourself are you putting out there in the world? Because you're not just, uh, you can be quietly good at your job, but if you're not, putting yourself out there, if you're not letting people see how you're shining in these roles and stuff, then you might be missing opportunities. So
Yeah.
it's teaching people how to show them, who you are, what language inside yourself you need to pull out to find that describes, you know, how you connect to this industry and how you add value to it. And doing some refining, like look at your LinkedIn page. Your LinkedIn is a story. Your resume is a story. Your interview is a story that you're telling about yourself. And so, okay, well, how can we use this to the best of your ability? You've got a lot of different skills, but what is it? What is the thing that means the most to you? You're not doing yourself a disservice by not focusing on all these other things. This is what you care about. This is what you want and what you're good at. So make sure people know it and give them information. Use your about me section in your LinkedIn to really talk about who you are in your own voice. Please don't chat GPT any of this stuff. You can write it in your own words. Be genuine, be yourself. And maybe, you can run it through, have grammar, but like we really just need to lean on our own. We need to trust ourselves and
Yes.
our words and our experiences. And so a lot of it was just that part, like being your authentic best self, pursuing the things that you care about the most. And a lot of it was networking. Okay, how do you build a professional network? So you have this support system in place. And it's not a self-serving thing like, you might lose a job and now you have people who will help you find one. There's so many benefits to growing a network.
Right.
You can meet people who are awesome at what they do, who change your worldview, who expand your knowledge, you know, who have perspectives that you hadn't considered before, all these things that make you better at your job, a better person. You can build friendships. I have lots of friends in this industry and we don't really work together.
Right.
We might work with TIDA and, we might share committees together or go to conferences at the same time. But, these are just people who we're alike. We care about what we're doing. We care about making sure that we're doing a good job. And I found so much meaning in those friendships and everything that I've built too.
Yeah.
And, we work together. Hey, I need a recommendation in this state. Hey, do you have any case law about this? Have you ever had a situation where this thing has happened and we all help each other? And so there's so many things that your network can do. You don't have to be just an island trying to navigate everything on yourself. by yourself. And then finally, we talk about how to be proactive. A lot of people shy away from pursuing
Mhm.
something if they think, well, they're going to see that I have only been doing this for 3 years and not 5, and they're not going to go with me. But can you do it? But do you
Right.
understand? Have you done good work in this before? Do you believe in your ability to do it? Like, go for it. They could say no, sure. It could be a hard line for them, but that's not been my experience that it's been the case. I may have leadership wise, I've years of experience, but a lot of people in my roles have, you know, been in it, doing it for longer, but I've had unique experience. I've had high level experience.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of self-led sort of problem solving experience where I get to not just put forth the rules that are in place, but to create them and build them. So I think that experience is valuable too. And so,
Yes.
um, I've gone after things where I've reached out to companies and said, "Hey, I don't know if you're hiring for anybody, but I think I'd be a really good fit for this sort of thing." And they liked me and wanted to offer
Yeah.
me a job. And, oh, by the way, but, I'm not willing to move because I like my life here where I am,
Right.
and they want me remote. And, I don't you have to know when you're ready to walk away and what you have to
Yeah.
do is put yourself out there. I'm like, "It's okay, no hard feelings if that's not gonna work for them, but this is what works best for my family, and, how I can be most efficient. I can still contribute just as meaningfully, in these ways." And fortunately, they saw it, and they're like, "Yeah, we will let you do that in this role." And so, yeah, you have to be willing to ask and create those sort of things.
Right.
And so, um, and yeah, so I would just work with people, maybe just an hour. I'd look through all their stuff beforehand and try to help them. And then it's interactive. I'm not just saying fix this, underlining this, crossing this out, putting a word in here. It's they're leading this and they're learning about themselves as they do it, and then
Yeah.
they're determining the next steps with, kind of some of these things that they can keep in mind, and change their perspective a little bit about, um, maybe learning to find a little confidence in what you have, and
Yeah.
not other people tell you who you are, and whether or not your skills are sufficient or you're talented enough, or something like that. You got to have positive self energy for those sort of things.
But I
So
think the fact that you do this in your free time, I don't know when that is, but you have some, and you do it in your free time just out of your own passion. And I think that, like, it shines through too, because you're doing it just because you want to.
no
Like, you don't
thanks.
have to do any of this.
Well,
But and it just reflects on you as a person.
oh, well, thank you. I mean, I believe in the human experience, and that and life is hard in a lot of ways, and there our careers, we want to rule our careers, and sometimes they end up ruling us. But when we have a society where you know our healthcare might be tied to our job, or we cost of living is really high in a lot of places, and it's harder, it's harder and harder to you know just afford some of these basic things that you have. And so I have a lot of compassion for,
Mhm.
people who are struggling to make it. I grew up, we didn't have a lot of money. I mean, we were homeless for a while as a kid. I understand what it's like to live in scarcity and fear and those sort of things. And so, but mostly I do it because I mean, I just think this is what we need to have, and this is a path to happiness. I think we're going most of us are going to spend our lives working, so finding a way that you can do it and that's meaningful to you, to find some joy in the stuff that you're doing. I just think that's a better thing for just all of us as people. And um yeah, I don't know. I do enjoy doing, and it's satisfying too. I've had 7 people reach out to me since September or so, and I've done this for a lot of them, and some of them more. I have done the mock interviews. I have helped them with their resumes. Let's find some, some actual metrics. There's something measurable that you can put on here, and helping them find those things. And in finding those, hey, I did that, it helps find some confidence and some pride. But 7 people, 5 of them have jobs now.
Great.
And the other 2 are very close to being there. And some of them are, and they're all great. They've all been great candidates, and they all want to work hard, and they all have skills, and they might have things going against them geographically where it's hard to find something, or they're in a role that is very competitive. And we talk about specialization and other ways that you can make yourself kind of stand out and pursue those sort of things. I'm like, well, you say you're a physical damage adjuster, but haven't you been doing like trucking and stuff for the past couple of years? Guess what? Like, you're a heavy equipment specialist. That's what you are. You've been doing that. You've been writing these estimates. You should be like, I am a heavy equipment specialist. If you like doing it. I mean, if you don't want to do it anymore, but make sure that you're selling all of those abilities that you have. If you have some specialized experience, then put that in there. And so, and so it's just helping people. It's almost like people need permission to do some of those things. And just in coming in and giving them permission to have good self-energy, to speak confidently about your abilities, to pursue something because you know that you can do a good job at it, and you think you deserve it. And that, if I had a shot at doing this, I really think I'd be great. And I don't know what it is about our world sometimes where people don't want to allow themselves to have those kind of thoughts and to give them permission. But sometimes they just need somebody to say, yeah, you got this.
I think sometimes you just need a cheerleader just to help you motivate and realize your own value and worth.
Yep. And I had great mentors too. I had a really, really great mentor when I was at State Farm. His name was Larry Dollison. And man, just learning by his example, the way that he treated everybody with compassion, the way he paid attention to what was going on. I mean, he was battling cancer, and it was very, it made him weak, and it was just a very, very difficult time. And he eventually lost that battle. But even when he was he was going through it. He'd had surgery. He's weak. He would still walk around. He'd walk past my desk, and I had a new picture, pinned up on my cubicle. And he goes, "Is that Eric? Has he lost some weight?" He noticed this new picture of my husband that's just held up by a thumbtack, and noticed that he lost weight. And because he's observant, because he paid attention to our lives and his adjusters, and he cared about everybody who was there. And I'm like, he's just been my example, somebody who's just like, you can be strong. You can be a strong leader. You can be a knowledgeable leader, and you don't have to raise your voice once. You don't have to put anybody down once. You can show people that you care. You can be the kind of person that you want to be. You can be a good person, and you can be genuine and have these interactions and be a strong leader and be the kind of leader that people need you to be too. So like, I think about him every week, really.
Yeah. I'm going to start thinking about him too.
It's just amazing. I'm so glad I had the opportunity to work with him when I did, because everybody needs a good, strong mentor like that. So I don't know if I'm, Larry's level, where, because he was just such an amazing, dynamic person. But I try to be a mentor, and, to people who are coming up, because I benefited from that. And also, it makes our industry better too. We need talent. We need people who are willing to chase those things, who are willing to learn more and learn more and learn more, and learn from others about how they can be best at what they do, how they can work with their clients, their insureds the best. And so, I believe in this industry too, and making it better and doing the best job we can. Insurance doesn't always get a good rap. Trucking, which I worked in a lot, it's not my only area, but it's it's kind of my baby. And those claims are difficult, and we can all benefit from sharing that knowledge and experience. And in order to do that, you need to find your voice to be able to do.
Yes.
Well, Rebecca, the insurance industry is lucky to have you.
Thank you.
And we are pretty much we are out of time, but foreshadowing for we are going to have you come back on, and we're going to even dig into more in claims. But I really wanted today to talk about just you and your career journey, and like and how you took a negative and made it a giant positive. And I love talking to you, and I'm so glad you came back on and joined us.
Thank you. I love talking to you too. I'm sorry. You always know when you bring me on here that I'm chatty and I like attention.
I love your
just
chatting.
keep talking and talking.
Oh.
So I'm sorry. And I didn't get to hear as much from Jen, so I'm sorry, but we will talk after this too. So, but thank you so much for having me on again. It's been a while, but it's really nice to be here, and I'm looking forward to our next one.
Same here. And of course, for everyone listening, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe to Claims Never Sleep. You can find us on your favorite streaming platform as well as YouTube. And thanks for tuning in.
This is the Claims Never Sleep podcast, presented by Cruiser Mitchell, with your host, Meghan Henry.